Ladies and gentlemen, do I have an important little session for us to today, Sunday, January 11th, it's 5 a.m. Get up at 2:30 a.m. in this club, the strongest, most mentally tough, most disciplined little tribe on the planet is what we're trying to be. And getting our wings in stage 2 is the ultimate goal. We're already past the baby boo-boo steps of arguing about whether or not we all know everything better than the higher intelligences such as nature. We don't. Nature's been around much longer. It's more infinite. It's the most advanced technology that we don't completely understand. And beyond that, there's quantum physics and neutrinos and atomics and right. So there's plenty more than meets the eye that we don't completely understand. And oftentimes we get sidetracked, distracted, or even intentionally misled. So for that reason, we make ourselves extremely mentally strong. We can stay on track no matter what challenges, which are opportunities to build strength, come in front of us. That's how we're taking them on. Opportunities to build strength. Key thing is finding out all the true details, all the real data, all the intelligence, right? Because if it's super blurry and you just let your imagination run wild, or a deceiver gets a hold of you, you could find yourself doing all kinds of things, attacking a person that has nothing against you or whatever, because you've been spun up by imaginary evils, maybe just inside your own mind because of your own insecurities, right? So we're gonna go over this whole thing right now, and I'm gonna read you some statistics first, okay? Well, let me give you an introduction, all right? So there is a really real observation in nature, okay? It's a very true, solid observation of human nature, observing human behavior patterns. And if you're a behavior pattern recognition expert, by the way, your navigational computer is top shelf, and you're going to move through this life much more interestingly and impressive and effective than most. So that is why we are doing this. This is definitely an upgrade to the computer. And when momentum starts to build, to the navigational computer, and when momentum starts to build, latent psychology activates, not because of what you did wrong, because of what your progress represents to others. I'll break this down clearly without any fluff here. The small, jealous mind. This is the second to worst thing that can happen to you in this life, is that you receive the curse of the small, jealous mind, that you catch this disease that is a pandemic. We'll get into the statistics right here in a minute, but the psychological dissection of that is key, inspired by a threat to your own self story, to the small, jealous mind's self story. The small, jealous mind is asking, why aren't I moving like these other people are moving? I don't even want to look at this anymore. I'm leaving this group. They're doing too good. That's where it starts. You know what I mean? It's too much for my senses because I'm not moving forward like that. It's much easier to vilify them and to dislike them and to criticize things that are wrong with them, even though they're operating at a much higher level than I am. It's much harder to do what I should do, and that's ask that person questions and learn from them and give them the respect that they deserve. Give them the respect that they deserve. If you can learn how to do that which is the number one thing that's been brainwashed out of you in the psychological psyop schematic of slavery, right? Of you've been controlled, so now you're a control freak and you've got to control everyone else because you're being controlled. And when you see someone who's getting ahead and slicing life through and is not controlled, it's provoking, and you're asking, why aren't I moving like this? So for people who have stabilized their identity around excuses, stagnation, victimhood, why not me? Your success destabilizes the internal narrative. All right? So a successful person will destabilize the internal narrative of a small, jealous mind. And it's a mirror in their face of what they could have been had they taken the harder road and done the harder, more valiant, more true, more honest, more hardcore things. Yes, we must be hardcore. We are not hippy dippy. That is a mistake. Okay. Threat to energy conservation mindset. Small minds are optimized for safety, sameness, and low exposure. Safety, sameness, and low exposure. Your growth increases uncertainty in the environment. Uncertainty feels like danger. Danger triggers sabotage, gossip, dismissal, or minimization. This lesson right here is going to be really hard for a lot of people to stomach. In fact, let me jump down to these statistics, okay? Broad psychological distribution, approximates but consistent across cultures. Different pockets will be different. I know one island that is full of the most small, jealous minded Jerry Springer people you'll ever see. The whole entire, and and to say that is definitely. And listen, diamonds under pressure, so no doubt about it. There's diamonds out there. They're interested in nature. They're interested only in other diamonds, right? But most of it is just a whole bunch of people talking to hear the sound of their own voice. And it's not doing them or anyone else any good. It's this gerbil wheel process. And somehow these people that are stuck in it, drinking full glasses of vodka at 9 a.m. and all that, are able to criticize those who work hard. They're able to pick apart, make, lie, and even invent lies on these people because of exactly what I'm talking about. So it could be a natural, actively 20 to 25% actively want to see others fail if it protects their ego. 50 to 60% passive, confront-oriented, unconsciously threatened by excellence. They don't want to stop you, but they also don't support you, right? They quietly prefer sameness. 10 to 15% genuinely want to see others win. Secure, disciplined, self-directed people. 5 or less will actively help you win without jealousy. These are high character individuals. These are the individuals that movies are made about. These are the high character individuals we love in the movies, and sometimes some of us, when they're sitting right next to us, we can't stand them. It's too much for our senses, and they're too much of a reflection because we're too much of a failure, maybe. And just sitting right next to this hot steaming girls are throwing themselves at him, and he's just muscle bound and super successful and nicer clothes and nicer attitude and nicer charisma. If you don't have charisma and personality, which I used to have the best of, and then I lost completely with extreme PTSD, and now I'm building back to it. And I'm looking for people who are like me before that happened, because those people I need as executive official positions. You know, if you're just giving me a cow brain face and a cow brain response, and you don't have manners and customer, you know what I mean, professional charisma, and you don't put the pretty BS that I'm usually against, at least to make it a polite, civil, engaging, gripping, fun experience, well, I've got a slave job for you, a perfect one. I got plenty. So really, it is your character, it is your ability on all fronts, physically, emotional intelligence, intelligence, right? Logical intelligence, excuse me. So the mirror you unintentionally hold up, and the discipline that they abandoned, the risks that they avoided, the truth that they postponed, your motion collapses their excuses. That's unbearable for many. It's truly unbearable for many. It's unbearable for me sometimes. And that's why I get up early and don't fail. And if you put brick by brick, if you start today, if you get that momentum going, you will really truly thank yourself in a matter of days. It does not take that long. The main true thing here is that you are cutting out all false data, all data in which you're unable to improve, that there's no lever to pull, that you don't have anything to do, right? So listen, as you become better, right? Do not explain yourself. Do not defend your intentions. Do not slow down to make others comfortable. Do not seek validation. Do not explain yourself. Do not defend your intentions. You went to nature, you did the work, you checked the boxes, all right? And now you know what you need to do. So you're not, and it's not validation seeking. It's not validation seeking. I just read you the percentages. 50 to 60 passively can't take you. The other 10 to 20 will try to rake you, right? And then 5% really will try to deceive and hold you back. And same, 5%, only 5%. 15% will actually want to see you win, and then 5% will actually help you with the true intention of seeing you win completely pure like that. That's what you're looking at. That's what you're dealing with when you're out there in the world. So when the majority of people that are in front of you now, right? Just remember, 95% of these people need to be weeded from the garden, and you need to keep going. And after enough churning and time with that ruthless disqualification and character mandatory minimum character modalities as fixtures, you will be dealing with a nice set of completely correct individuals who really have tons of talent, tons of character, and now together you guys have tons of potential. And for a lot of us, it really truly is a process of working out of the hood, out of solitude, out of a weird situation, because most of the situations are weird now statistically, right? And we got to get out on our own. We got to retether to nature and rebuild. And we're going to go quieter, not louder. Momentum compounds best in silence. We're going to have increased precision, speak less, move cleaner, execute tighter. We're going to upgrade proximity, reduce exposure to low agency minds. We're going to distance is not cruelty, it's hygiene. Okay? Nothing disarms jealousy like inevitability. The final truth: when the ball starts rolling and resistance appears, it's not a warning sign, it's confirmation. Can you read the signs? They are there. You might have read the signs 50 freaking times, but you haven't done all these mental toughness, little discipline things like morning burpees, like morning study, like morning mastermind. So you're not ready. You're not ready for the bigger stuff, right? You're not ready to really galvanize and sharpen that blade The white shining knight, right? Because the final truth is when the ball starts rolling and resistance appears, it's not a warning sign, it's confirmation. You're crossing the invisible line where comfort ends, identity is challenged, and real separation begins. That friction means you're no longer orbiting the average, you're breaking free. All right. Now, the saboteur behavior map. This is where we're going to get into identifying. I'm going to speed this up a little bit here. We're going to get into identifying the small jealous mind. The 95% you need to weed your garden of concern masking, fake care. I'm just worried about you. I don't want to see you get hurt. I've seen this go wrong before. What it really is, anxiety disguised as virtue. They are projecting their fear of failure onto you. Tell, no actionable help offered. There's no solution offered. There's no ideas, there's no creative, just, you know what I mean? Pure fear. Pure naysayer. No personal risk taker. These people, they don't take risk. They didn't believe in themselves. They became the worst thing, not the second to worst thing, which is a small jealous mind. They became the worst thing you could become in this life, and that's a deceptive being themselves, right? So, and then it's really too much for their senses for you to go off and fly. See that? Do you see that? Something, it's not hurt. It's not personal. It's not to hurt them. It's not to punish them. It should be to give credit where it's due. It's hygiene is what it is. It's hygiene is what it is. You should give credit where it's due, but this is mandatory hygiene for the successful. And all the successful, experienced, wise guy people that you need to learn from are going to see you not pass that step and still hang out with this small jealous mind saboteur right there in your midst. And they're going to they're just going to keep moving. Because they're looking for a higher performing operator than that, period. So, only restraint is suggested. They only put limits. They only restrain and put limits and control and deceive. Be careful of that, motherfucker. I'm telling you right now, you will pay dearly for allowing, accepting. Accepting is installing. What you accept, you install in your life. Hardcore boundaries, hardcore honesty. That's true respect and love for everyone around you. On the front end, in private. Hey, listen. This is what I need to do for me. You got a problem with that? Can you respect that? This is what I need to do for me. And many times people can't respect boundaries, man. You have to leave. You have to remove yourself from the problem. And they may tell you, oh, you're running from the... No, listen. Don't let anyone trap you. This is a trapper world we're in right now. That's why I'm going over this. Okay, timing sabotage. Doubts or critiques appear right before momentum launches, wins, or visibility. They will directly sabotage your stuff. You know what I mean? That'll run around, buy a PlayStation game. We'll finally plug it in. Never mind. Silence during your struggle. Silence during your struggle. Advice during your acceleration. I don't want your advice anymore. You're not the person that I want advice from. That person is the one with the results. The one that's actually done stuff, not sitting there and criticized all kinds of stuff they've never done anywhere even close to. They have no idea what it takes to process, to produce. But they're somehow an expert, even though they've never done it. Be very, very careful of that. And as my dad says, who's my favorite human being in the whole world and the smartest guy I know, right? Evaluate actual skill. And as his son says, be wary of mouth service. I've had enough mouth service in my life personally. I don't know about you, but I don't need any more. I'm full. My cup is full there. qualification attacks, right? And listen, when these people have their name in your mouth while you're in absence of the conversation, it is. I have verified it and investigated it in behavior pattern analysis that it's because they want more of you in their mouth. They want you physically in their mouth. That's what it is. Stay away from those people. They're sick. They're dirty. They'll do anything. That's what I've found. All right. And, that means you don't talk about anybody. You know what I mean? Look, I found out about that person. They're not for me. That's it. You know what I mean? If you're really close, hey, look, this is what really, really, really happened. I'm not lying to you. We're very close. Yeah, that's acceptable. That's natural. Just to specify, because there's so much constructive confusion being injected into there's so much confusion being injected into social construction right now through the television. And you've got to be a behavior pattern recognition expert to see it, and then you're a life navigator Jedi level. Qualification attacks. They say, "Are you sure you're qualified? Are you sure you're ready? Are you sure you can handle? Do you really have the credit?" Experts say don't do it that way. Experts usually don't do it that way. This person, this is dangerous. This is stupid for you, right? If you have one of these little chirpers in your, if you have a little demon on your shoulder, and you let him can stay there, you need to get an angel on your shoulder, someone who operates in truth and valiance, like that 5% I just told you about, that we just talked about. Why not just keep it small? Why not just keep it small? Think smaller. You're going too big. You're going too big. I'm gonna tell you, big is go big or go home. Period. There are no small roles. This is not the little game where they want you to play with a ball and that's what you do all your life. And they'll give you millions of dollars to do it. Oh wait, there's also millions of people who watch the people play with the ball. There's so much more out here for you guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen. You don't need all that. Wouldn't a simpler life be better? They're trying to pull your ceiling down to match theirs. And they may not be ill-intended. And that's what makes it super confusing. Because the super ill-intended can act like they were one of the ones that wasn't ill-intended, that they were just, I'm just worried about you, I'm just worried, right? Selective amnesia. What they do, they forget your past work, sacrifices, and discipline. They act like your success is sudden or lucky. And they'll do that for the superstars that you're paying attention to. They forget, they recall your failures vividly. They forget effort entirely, right? What they'll use, haha, you're going full bond now, careful, don't become one of those guys, right? That's something that could be said on me. Humor is a weapon. They'll use humor to put you down and I'm just messing, right? But they're actually not. They're giving a tell, right? Third party poisoning. They speak about you more than to you. They raise concerns with others instead of with you directly. You will hear feedback indirectly. Stories slightly change each time. Information withholding. They stop sharing resources, intros, or insights they used to offer. Or let's just say they hide a lot of stuff from you. They hide a lot of beneficial stuff for you. They hide a lot that's benefited them from you. A good friend, if it benefited them, they're right away, hey man, look what this did for me, right? Okay. And if they're hiding something that was beneficial from them, from you, make sure they didn't get it off your head. That's another thing, all right? Moving goalposts. What they'll say, well, yeah, but that doesn't really count. Let's see if it lasts, right? moral superiority play. What they say. I just don't care about money, status, fame like you. I'm more about balance, family, and spirituality, right? Listen, care about it all. Care about it all. Be positive, progressive, and persistent on all of these, okay? On financial, on everything, and get around people who were pressing forward positively, progressively, all right? Energy drain. Talks that leave you foggy, defensive, or second guessing. Conversation loop without resolution. You feel smaller after. There's no clarity, only weight. If you feel these feelings, it's from a cause. That effect is from a cause. It's what we're talking about. What they do, less engagement, no celebration, disappearing during wins. Pay attention to these things. Can you read the signs? They are there. They cannot emotionally reconcile your progress. Forced relatability, what they say. And listen, this talk right here is also supported and pulled by the day. I'm taking what's happening in my day. I'm paying attention to detail with everything that's in front of me. And I'm taking from that what God is giving me. And I'm being creative, and I'm being valiant, and I'm being honest, and I'm being progressive, and I'm being productive, and I'm really that 5% that will help you get ahead, right? And they're turning the volume up on the Small Jealous Minded program. Some of the best of people that would have been doing jumping jacks for my wins, now it's this shit. Silence. Right? Projection of arrogance. You're changing. You think you're better than others. And they'll say this about your truth beacon too. They'll say this about the old schooler you should pay attention to. He thinks he's better than others. He thinks, no, listen, I'm a go-getter. I want you to be a go-getter. God wants you to be a go-getter. The devil wants you to distract you from that and have you be fat, suicidal, depressed, gossiping about the go-getter, and getting yourself fucking nowhere. That's what the devil wants. And what's happening to you? And he wants you to hang out with other shit because everything's contagious. God wants you to hang out with the valiant. You know, if it makes you sin, chew it off like your arm. If it's messing up your life, you set the strong boundary, you set the strong boundary, you set the strong boundary, the environment doesn't respect it. That is the sign to change environments. Change environments, change your life. So, all right, false alliance, what they do, praise you publicly, undermine you privately, mixed signals. Well, praise and pride, listen, the master tell, most important, anyone who mocks routine, resents structure, belittles standards, is broadcasting internal disorder. How to use this do not confront. Confrontation feeds them information and drama, and that's what they want. So cut drama, deception, destruction out of your life, okay? Replace the D's with the P's, man. Don't correct them. They are not confused. They are defending identity. You're never going to win with these workers. Trust me. They've worked themselves into such a stupid, solid, stubborn, stone stupidity. Is really rare that they ever get out of it. Like I said, the worst thing you could become, the second worst thing you could become is a small jealous mind. The worst thing you can become is a deceptive being. All right. Don't slow down. Speed neutralizes sabotage. Don't slow down. Okay, I know what this is. I've categorized you. I've identified you. I know what this is. My navigational computer has been seriously upgraded. You no longer slow me down. Less proximity, fewer updates, cleaner boundaries. Track patterns, not moments. 1 tell is noise. 3 tells is signal. 5 tells, disengage, man. If you are unable to do that, that's the third worst thing that can happen to you. You become a victim that's addicted to victimhood. We're all going to be addicted to something. And repetition is what's going to get you there. So you need to change your environment and start a whole new repetition no matter how hard it is. Period. Final calibration. When you rise, friction is inevitable, but clarity turns friction into propulsion. Once you see the saboteur behaviors, they lose their power instantly. And do you want to continue to be held up and sabotaged? Take 1 minute to think about that real fast. And then we're going to get into identifying who your true ally is. All right. Moving right along to identification of the ally. This is the ally signal map. They are calm around your momentum. Or they're like high five, yeah, right? And you know that it's super genuine. Fakers, especially if they've seen this video or if they've seen me or they know about me or they've ever seen me in their life, they've got a great model of valiance to copy and fool you with. That goes for every valiant person that they've seen. I just have fun talking cocky shit sometimes. They're calm around your momentum. No spike in emotion when you win. No awkwardness, no jokes, no concerns when you accelerate. Meaning, their identity is not threatened by your growth. They are internally stable. Calm is the first and strongest signal. They ask precise forward questions. What they ask, what's the next bottleneck? Where does this scale? What would help most right now? Not interrogating what you did today. If they're interrogating you, what you did, what you're doing tomorrow, all that kind of thing, no, okay? But if they're asking you questions to clearly get you to think about how this can scale and progress, excellent. Their questions are about execution. You'll know, they think in systems, not comparisons, all right? They're going to tell you, don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about, nowadays, you don't even need to worry about the competition. You just focus on your progress. The marketplace is so huge. You can do anything and in any field, no matter what the saturation is. You get out, you talk to people, you get in front of people, you get expertise in the thing. You know what I mean? You go real, you go valid, you go true, whatever mouth sounds you want to use. Real. You learn the skill. Evaluate true skill. So listen, they respect your discipline. They don't mock routines, schedules, or standards. They protect your time instead of interrupting it. They really do, right? Boundaryless people, they don't care about your time. They don't care about your space. They don't care about your life. They care about executing control over others because they failed essentially and fell into the control grid themselves. And they weren't a free mind that broke out of the suffering, out of shape, out of health, mental health, out of happiness place because they weren't true. It's not even because they didn't work hard. It's because they weren't true. And that's why I preach that more than anything, right? They didn't go with God, man, which is the biggest hand in the game. And if you can't appreciate, if you're so jacked up on yourself that you can't recognize and respect higher intelligences, anything higher is looking at you saying, that thing's got a long way to go and it probably never makes it. And it's a bad use of my time to let this thing slow me down. They respect and protect your structure. They don't try to break it. They let you adapt to your own thing. I have a coaching client. He's like, man, you can put your hands on me. You can put your, make sure, listen, no, I can push you to do reps. I can push you for repetition. I know that once I push you enough for repetition and you get those reps in, you'll develop your own repetition machine inside of you. You know what I mean? But I want you to actually develop your own thing. And that's, your own form, your own style, because that is what's going to make you most successful. That in the ring, on the mat, in the world, as a person. I don't want a robot. If I'm a high operator and I can embrace my own individuality and be myself and play my destiny call that's coming to me and be true in everything that I do so I can be truer in that, why would I want to hang out with anyone doing anything less? I wouldn't. That would be stupid. That would be contamination. They celebrate wins cleanly right away. Bang. They're like, yeah, you'll know. But again, a deceptive being will copy me. They will copy people like me. They don't need credit. They really don't. They will really sacrifice. That 5% will really sacrifice. That's an extreme being. They may make 400 videos trying to get the truth to you so that you can correct your course. Just for you. They don't need credit. They don't need likes. They don't need follows. They need real, man. They need real motherfuckers, and that's it. That are gonna be real. They don't remind you what they did. They got a secure ego. They're a long-term thinker. Credit seeking is insecurity in disguise. And if you ever see someone stealing credit, if you ever see people augmenting their stories, exaggerating their stories heavily, the villain in the story is way more villain than makes sense, and they're way more hero than makes. They speak directly, not sideways. They speak directly, not sideways. They're brutally honest, actually. That 5%, I would say, is usually pretty brutally honest. Integrity is above emotion for that. They may make you cry, but they're going to do the right thing. They're going to be integral, and they want you to be integral. They don't try to slow you down. They don't have this just be careful, fear-based framing, And when a whole entire Jerry Springer family, just as an extreme example to convey this, they all do this fear shit to a small child, all super irresponsibly, because they don't sharpen their blade, they don't read, they don't take their position seriously, they think of their own position as small and not large, and they operate in this Jerry Springer fucked up child abuse way. This happened to a poor kid that I know. This is why I'm on the internet at all. This is actually not emotional. Let me clarify this for you guys, everyone. This is not emotional. Oh, I'm just dramatic Jerry Springer person. It's not even that. It is intentional, strategic trapping and control, because they can't stand someone who can outperform their whole family. That is exactly what it is. And if that person is calling them out for the trash that they are, you know what I mean? Be careful being too valiant. That thing I read earlier, confront the narcissist, confront the control, confront the person who's in your life that doesn't want to see you win. There's no point in that. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. Real supporters ask how can they contribute, not how they can benefit from the situation. They're not really interested in themselves with this 5% right now. They're just looking to see you proceed. And when you're starting out, this is all that you're allowed. This is mandatorily a person who's coming from no success to success. You must only use these people to magnetize you. You have to crop, really, literally, everyone out of your life. This 95% that's got the small jealous minds in it, that's got the silent saboteurs in it, that's got the people who aren't ready for them to have that you as a mirror in their face. You know, all those people, they shouldn't be in the situation, so that you can get the clear, precise, laser dialed in momentum. And then once you're over here, maybe you can deal with these people that are limited. Once you're over here, trust that person, trust that version of yourself over here to make those decisions. Right now, no. So, and they'll protect you in rooms later. You'll hear later that they corrected misinformation, they shut down gossip. You know, when I knew that my boys were my boys way back in the day, look at the links below for bad breaking. We're starting to tell these stories. It's because there were some people in a restaurant and they were bad mouthing me. They were talking badly about me. And these 5 dudes who were pretty much my crew, were definitely my crew at the time, right? Because they followed these guys out, they beat them up, they destroyed their car, they took the keys for the car. And all because these people were talking badly about me. So right away I was like, yeah, that's my real people. That's my real people. They really went to bat for me, put risk. Again, fakers, these other fakers, these super saboteurs that want to control you, they will do these things too. They will stage them, and even better yet, they will just simply invent them with their mouth. And okay, so if you got people that are truly in your corner, that is rare and extremely valuable. We went over the statistics. All right, they tell you to grow up without ego. You can see that they are purposely making themselves their best version by giving you that best, cleanest laser dial advice for you. They scale with you. As you rise, they rise too. The win-win, as Napoleon Hill says. Let's do some winning. This transactional bullshit, get it out of your life. There's no need to renegotiate respect, period. They're hard to offend. They don't have a fragile ego. You know, there's no need for constant reassurance. You don't have to sit there and hold their hand. You don't have to, you know what I mean? There's no psychological maturity. A lot of these people have a codependency problem. Independency is the valiant virtue that we need to cultivate, right? Then in this case, the rare signal, the top 5%, they feel inspired by you, not threatened by you. Your progress gives them energy. They might say, that makes me want to level up. You're pulling me forward. This is gold. Remember, the deceptive being will take these things and put them right front face, so you don't know who they really truly are. And their life depends on this. So they will push some of these better messages even harder than the real guys, right? How to use this map. 3 signals is a potential ally, 6 signals is keep close, 10 signals is inner circle, and you should make people earn that inner circle, And again, if they've done 10 fucking ill wills if you've identified 10 negatives and you stay with that, your Jerry Springer life is your fault. Share process, not vulnerability, because you installed those people in your life. Like I said, you accepted, you installed. Share process, not vulnerability. Share direction, not doubts. Big red flag is anyone who wants intimacy before integrity, anyone who wants access before contribution, anyone who wants validation for themselves before results for you. Final collaboration. Allies are not loud supporters. They are structural reinforcements. They reduce friction, increase clarity, expand reach, protect momentum. You don't need many. You just need a few right now. What I'm doing right now by doing these lives, nobody's even in here. I got a couple people because there's 2 likes. But what I'm doing right now with all my live live stuff and all this super video drop. As Bill Millison says in his observation of nature, that every installation, action, and intention should have 2 or more purposes to be installed. Now you're building more nuclear-like as nature is. So here, the only reason I'm on the internet, 1, unfortunate child abuse situation. 2, I'm finding out right now, if there was someone who was showing up to my lives, leaving support and comments and earning my circle in a valid way, and if I'm not getting the results that I want or that I'm trying to get, I gotta go harder. All right, stay tuned for more. Let's see what we do, not what we say. Hua.